Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into how two completely unconventional tools, strategic silence and art-based learning, can absolutely transform your executive presence. If you've ever felt that mainstream leadership advice just repeats the exact same tired cliches about speaking up and being hyper-rational, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to unpack a powerful combination of executive coaching insights and rigorous academic data to show you a totally different path to influence. Here is our agenda for today. We'll start with number 1, the leadership illusion. Move on to 2, the power of silence. And 3, taming your saboteurs. Then we'll cover 4, art-based leadership development, and wrap up with 5, the modern leader. Section 1, the leadership illusion. Why more talk doesn't equal more power. Okay, so picture a high-stakes meeting. You have 2 executives in the room, both vying for the CEO's attention. One is just constantly talking, eager to showcase literally every idea they have, stepping on other people's words just to make absolutely sure they're heard. But the other? They remain completely silent for most of the meeting. They only speak when they have a decisive, precision-engineered point to make. Well, executive coach Alina Florea notes that by the end of that meeting, it is invariably the silent executive who commands the room. You see, the constant talker often signals nervousness or maybe a lack of confidence, which completely dilutes their authority. Meanwhile, the deliberate speaker, they command absolute attention. This brilliantly illustrates our core philosophy today, perfectly captured by this legendary Peter Drucker quote: "The most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said." The true art of leadership often lies not in what is actually said out loud, but in what is deliberately left unsaid. True executive gravitas isn't about filling the airwaves, right? It's about reading the room. Let's move on to Section 2, the power of silence, building executive presence. Culturally, we tend to misunderstand silence. We think of it as passivity or even weakness. But when deployed strategically, it is an absolute powerhouse. Just think about it. When you speak sparingly, it demonstrates absolute composure and control. It creates this much-needed space for deep thought and for processing complex information. It also showcases profound emotional intelligence because you're actively holding space for other people to contribute. Plus, it stops us from making impulsive, reactive decisions under pressure. And structurally speaking, taking a deliberate pause before you open your mouth builds immense anticipation. It instantly amplifies the weight of your words. So, the trick here is knowing exactly when to deploy this tool. Florea outlines highly specific management scenarios where silence actively solves the problem. Take a heated discussion, for instance. Silence diffuses tension and signals emotional maturity. Or we've all been in a standoff where someone throws out a really harsh criticism. Instead of reacting defensively, an intentional silent pause shows that you're processing. It actually transfers the pressure right back to them. And honestly, that often leads the other party to make concessions just to fill the awkward silence. And when dealing with an emotional employee, remaining quiet isn't being aloof. It's actually an act of profound empathy that gives them the space to just be heard. Section 3, taming your saboteurs, the internal urge to speak. So if silence is so incredibly powerful, why is staying quiet so hard for so many managers? Well, we all battle these things called thinking saboteurs. These are automatic internal patterns triggered by stress or discomfort that basically trick us into speaking impulsively. I mean, we've probably all worked with a hyperachiever who speaks constantly just to prove their competence, often overshadowing their own team. Or maybe you felt your own inner pleaser make you talk just to smooth things over and gain favor. Or maybe you battle the judge, which compels you to speak up immediately to criticize a mistake, totally ruining team morale. Or the controller, who just overexplains to ensure compliance. Recognizing which of these archetypes is driving your speech is the very first step to intercepting it. To actually defeat these saboteurs, you need a circuit breaker. The next time you feel compelled to jump in and fill a silence, intercept that impulse by silently asking yourself this exact question: what am I hoping to achieve by speaking right now? Really ask yourself if your need to speak is driven by fear, a need for validation, or genuine, effective strategy. Section 4, art-based leadership development. The pivot to academic evidence. Now, let's bridge this idea of stepping back, reflecting, and checking our internal impulses with another highly unconventional tool: art-based learning. How do we actually train leaders to develop these deeply reflective, empathetic muscles? Well, to prove this isn't just some fluffy theory, let's look at rigorous academic research. A systematic review and qualitative meta-summary published in the journal Behavioral Sciences by researcher Barrett Sandberg analyzed 31 different empirical studies published over a 15-year period. This gives us hard, quantifiable, evidence-based validation for how the arts can fundamentally rewire leadership behavior. There's a really stark contrast here. Traditional leadership programs have been heavily criticized for over-relying on hyper-rational logic, superficial skills, and standardized tools. Basically, they treat leadership like it's a technical manual. But modern leadership requires humanistic values. Art-based leadership embraces sense-making, embodied learning, and aesthetic reflexivity. It's a completely holistic countermodel that challenges a leader's fundamental self-perception rather than just handing them another checklist. This is where the research gets absolutely fascinating. Specific art forms literally map directly to hard leadership data. For example, applied drama and improvisational theater are empirically shown to boost empathy and ethical understanding. Drawing or making collages forces leaders to externalize and reflect on their core identity and vision. And get this, interventions using dance or choral conducting drastically improve a leader's physical presence, nonverbal communication, and somatic awareness. It takes leadership out of the purely cognitive realm and puts it right into the body and the senses. Through an extensive data filtering process that culminated in 33 highly vetted reports, researchers proved that we have hard empirical evidence validating these so-called soft skills. The research confirms that art-based initiatives significantly impact higher-order cognitive skills, emotional intelligence, and interpersonal competencies. These aren't just nice-to-haves, folks. They are scientifically proven leadership requirements for navigating today's modern corporate landscape. Section 5. The modern leader synthesizing silence and art. So let's bring this all together. We've looked at the strategic power of withholding speech and the transformative power of engaging with the arts. Both the practice of strategic silence and the immersion in art-based learning build a crucial psychological trait that researchers call negative capability. Now, I found this concept so fascinating. It is the capacity to sit comfortably with ambiguity, uncertainty, and volatility. Instead of giving into your controller saboteur and forcing an immediate, hyper-rational fix to every single problem, a leader with high negative capability can simply tolerate the unknown. They observe, they reflect, and they allow the right path to emerge completely organically. This is the ultimate paradigm shift we want you to take away from this explainer today. True leadership isn't about having the loudest voice in the boardroom or possessing the most rigid, standardized logic. It's about reflection. It's about utilizing silence to command respect and using holistic, experiential tools like the arts to cultivate profound emotional intelligence and interpersonal sensitivity. I am going to leave you with a final, provocative thought to ponder as you step back into your own professional life. The next time you are sitting in that incredibly tense meeting, facing an impossible challenge, and your internal saboteur is screaming at you to just start talking, will you fill the void with noise, or will you harness the absolute power of the unsaid? Thank you so much for joining us on this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.